Hi, everybody. It's Scott DiGiammarino. Welcome to the Inspirational Motivational Leadership Podcast. I am here today with my oldest daughter, Miss Amanda DiGiammarino. Amanda, welcome.
Hello, how are you?
Welcome from SoCal, right? So if you haven't had a chance, Amanda and I just did a 45-minute podcast where we learned all about Amanda's background, her takes on leadership, both as a follower as well as a leader. She gave some great tips out there. So Amanda, great job.
Thank you so much. I had so much fun.
So today, as we know what we do with every guest, we have actually always filmed 2 episodes. So the first episode is all about your favorite subject, which is you. And the second thing we do is we ask all of our guests to join me for a second half of this, which is what we call a movie clip review. As you guys all know, I'm the CEO and founder of a company called MovieComm, where we use legally approved Hollywood movie clips to help today's leaders motivate and inspire and engage their audience, especially the younger generation. It's a lot of fun. Go check us out at MovieComm.com. What we're going to do today is Amanda and I are going to watch a movie clip. It's a couple minutes long. It's from the movie Accepted. Man, did you like the movie Accepted?
I love the movie Accepted. It's so funny, and it's actually quite just on point.
How would you if you were to describe to the audience what the movie's about, what would you say?
It's just like, it's all the people that, like, you know, the world of parents trying to pressure kids to get into college, kind of put, you know, the main character in this movie over the edge, so much so that he actually made up his own college to try to prove to his parents that he could make it. And so we can watch the clip to kind of learn a little bit more about how that went.
By the way, the name of the college that he made up was called the South Harmon Institute of Technology. And
Shit college.
Shit. It was called Shit. Welcome to Shit. So if you haven't seen it, it's a great movie. It's from Universal Studios. But this movie is all about, to Amanda's point, it's about a bunch of kids who never got out of high school, never got into the college that they wanted to, or got into any college. So they formed their own college. And there was a college down the street, Harmon College, I think it was called. And the dean and the president of the college wanted to get rid of the South Harmon Institute of Technology because they wanted the real estate. So essentially, Bartleby Gaines, they call him B, who you'll see in this scene in one moment, was actually in front of the school board trying to get accreditation for the school for Shit itself. And that's what we're going to see right now. So give it 1 second, we'll tee it up.
What about you, parents? Did the system really work out for you? Did it teach you to follow your heart, or to just play it safe, roll over? What about you guys? Did you always want to be school administrators? Dr. Alexander, was that your dream? Or maybe no, maybe you want to be a poet. Maybe you want to be a magician or an artist. Maybe you just wanted to travel the world. Look, I lied to you. I lied to all of you, and I'm sorry, Dad, especially to you. But out of that desperation, something happened that was so amazing. It was full of possibilities, and isn't that what you ultimately want for us as parents? I mean, is possibilities. Well, we came here today to ask for your approval, and something just occurred to me. I don't give a shit. Who cares about your approval? We don't need your approval to tell us that what we did was real. Because there are so few truths in this world that when you see one, you know it. And I know that it is a truth that real learning took place at South Harmon. Whether you like it or not, it did. Because you don't need teachers or classrooms or fancy highbrow traditions or money to really learn. You just need people with a desire to better themselves. And we got that by the shitload at South Harmon. So you can go ahead, sign your forms, reject us and shoot us down and do whatever you gotta do. It doesn't really matter at this point, because we'll never stop learning, and we'll never stop growing, and we'll never forget the ideals that were instilled in us at our place, because we are shitheads now, and we'll be shitheads forever, and nothing you can say or do or stamp can take that away from us, so go!
Everyone, please quiet down. Quiet down, please. Thank you. Mr. Gaines, Your presentation was unorthodox, to say the least, and your methodology is questionable at best. However, the true purpose of education is to stimulate the creativity and the passions of the student body, and in that regard, you have certainly succeeded. This board does not reject innovation, but it must be watched carefully. Therefore, the South Harmon Institute of Technology will be granted a one-year probationary period in which to continue its experimental programs. Don't be so quick to judge us by the way we look. Congratulations.
That one always gets me so pumped.
Oh, yes, yes. Excellent. That is a great example of I don't think I could did great in the box office, but let's call it a B movie that had some A clips, like great clips. So there's so much to unpack there. So tell me, as you watch that, what did you pick up? What moments or life lessons or soft skills did you see there, or leadership lessons that you saw there?
I remember the first time I watched it, I just and even right now I get like goosebumps like on my arms, I swear to God, because it's just so exciting for people to be so passionate about something and to speak up. Like that's it. It's just people that are just so willing to put themselves out there. And it was very encouraging and motivating for me that it's like everything that you have in your head of all these ideas is finally getting shared. And you have a specific person in the center actually advocating for so many other people. And it was just the coolest thing to see. And like, I could totally see that actually working out in real life. So I absolutely loved it.
Well, it goes back to, if you listen to your podcast earlier, the other podcast, you talked about a leader, great leaders back you up. Great leaders support you. Great leaders take things off your plate. Isn't that what B just did there?
He took it. Yes, there are people that literally instilled so much trust in him, even though he knows himself. He's like, I'm not this guy. Like, did I really just do this? Like, it just started with me, but then it grew to so many other people. And that is so spot on with the way that the world works today with social media, where you see somebody speak up or you see somebody put themselves out there and you're like, I think I can do it too. And so you don't know how many people that you're touching by just being you, but then to be the one to actually speak up for others, like already makes you that leader.
So I want to set the context for me. So understand this clip. So you got hundreds and hundreds of kids who didn't get into college. Bartleby starts South Harmon Institute of Technology. Shit. Okay. These kids all come here. They've been rejected so many times. They feel bad about themselves. Their self-esteem is taking a hit. And this guy stands up for all of them. Right. Yes. So if you had a leader that did stuff like that on your behalf and for you, and you're in the audience or you're there, what does that want you to do? How do you feel about that particular leader?
I would be shitting my pants for them. I'd be like, whoa, how are you doing this? Honestly, like, I think there's some people, like, I'm sure that were like biting their nails, or if this was a real scenario, being like, oh my God, like, are you really going to say this right now? But like, they really feel it. And the best leaders are the ones that are able to communicate exactly how you're thinking and feeling to the higher people or to the higher ups. And when you get that leader to be that transcriber or that bridge between what you think and feel and what you want to say and actually hearing it being told, you feel release. There is this understanding. There is this feeling of somebody gets me.
Somebody cares for me, right?
Yes.
Somebody's sticking up for me, right? Like B just basically did. And Amanda, if you think about it, let's say it's 3 years down the road, 5 years down the road, 30 years down the road. Will you ever forget what Bartleby just did for you?
No, never. He would have my life. I'd be like, I'll do anything for you at this point. And he will always be a connection.
Absolutely. Because he's stuck up for the little people.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So you talk about being passionate. That was one thing. Talk to me about the risk he took in doing what he was doing.
He took a risk. I mean, it's a pretty extreme risk, right? Like if you actually watch the whole movie, you know, the entire time he's just like pulling things out of thin air, being like, I guess we're going to make this work. Or if you want to do it, just go ahead and do it. And then things started crumbling. And that's why obviously they were caught and, you know, they got into trouble, but he kept going. that's what happens. And so the risk that he took was, obviously they could just say no. But in the middle of it, if you actually like watch it again, or if you were paying attention, he's like, you know what? I don't even care if you say no. And all that fear that he had just left his body. And you could feel it in that moment. You could feel it in that clip where he's like, you know what? I'm good. Whatever you say actually doesn't affect me, because like I feel good about what I did. And so he immediately just disarmed himself.
And Bobby, I know we're talking about leadership, but there's a life lesson in that, isn't there? What do you think the life lesson is of him just saying, whatever, you can make up whatever you mind, but something, we're going to keep on learning. We're going to keep on growing. We're going to stick together because our ways work. We don't have to be like you. What do you think that life lesson actually is?
I mean, aside saying like, fuck you to authorities,
Yeah,
which a lot
true.
of people want to do too. It's a lot about just like, I mean, it's just believing in yourself. That's the entire thing. It's just, once you believe in yourself, you can do anything that you want to do. And you don't need people's approval to do it. And that's exactly what he's saying, is I don't need somebody to tell me that this is okay for this to be okay.
Let's go for it. Why not?
I will continue doing this elsewhere. If you tell me I can't do it here, I'm going to do it somewhere else. There's no taking no for an answer.
So don't you think there are zillions of people around the world, whether they're students or employees or just individual people, that are always worried about what other people are thinking?
Yeah, it's like basically the day to day.
It's day to day, isn't it? Right. And that can really mess you up. But if your mindset is what you just said, right, and that Bartley just showed and displayed, I don't care. This is what I believe. I think this is the right thing to do. I'm following my principles. I'm following my values, then regardless of what the decision was of the committee, he's okay.
Yeah. I think that was the hard one, is like, they were constantly comparing themselves, like, or I guess the other school, the Harmon school, was like actually comparing themselves. Like, what are they doing? Like, why are they able to be here?
Are you having fun? I'm not having fun. Yeah, you having fun?
Like, I don't understand. Like, what are your parties like? Because my parties are pretty good, but they're actually really lame. Like,
Right.
There was that whole comparison back and forth the entire movie. And then in this clip, it's just like, those guys are sitting in the hallway, or they were sitting in the piers, and they're just like, you know what? Like, I see them. And like, you see some of their acknowledgement in their faces in the other school that we're comparing and that we're judging and that we're whatever. And it's actually another life lesson to be like, those people that made fun of you for telling you that you couldn't do the thing that you wanted to do were actually then rejudging themselves. And they're just like, oh shit, like that actually looks pretty cool.
That was pretty cool. I want to hang with these guys.
Yeah.
I want to transfer. I want to go from Dickinson to the U.
It comes from confidence. You need to be confident in what you're doing. And what was interesting, which like, I still don't know how he does this, because I'm definitely like a victim of like, I always compare myself because I always want to be better. But like, what is better? Like, and that just doesn't mean that it might mean that I don't have the values set for myself yet, or I don't know what I want to be doing. So I'm looking for others for motivation. But like, that's also like seeing other people's paths, and it's not seeing my own path. But the hard work is picking that path for yourself and sticking with it. The reason that was easy for him to give that speech was because he actually picked the path. He actively chose to sit in the discomfort of doing something that other people didn't do. People don't do that though. People like the path that's already been written out.
And he actually said, I don't know if it was in this scene or another scene. He said, listen, you guys can do it your way. Let us do it ours. We're comfortable the way we're doing it. You're comfortable the way you're doing it. Doesn't mean one way's right or wrong. It just goes back to the path that each of us choose.
Yeah, but the world doesn't see it that way, And I think that's a hard part. You have to go against the grain. You have to have so much balls to go against the grain that you can actually do that. But that takes a lot of fear. That takes a lot of self-talk. There's so much you have to get over to get to that place to be like, yeah, fuck you. The reason he said fuck you, or I don't care usually means that like deep down you kind of do, but you just have to keep like trudging forward to prove yourself.
Correct.
It's kind of what it is,
Correct. By the way, it was also a sales component to what he did, because he talked directly to the board. And he said, what did you want to do in life? Did you want to play the trombone? Did you want to do this? Do you want to do that? So it became very real. And they turned back to the audience and he said, and he was honest. He said, listen, he goes, life is all about possibilities, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody out there has possibilities. Isn't that what you wanted for us way back when? Is it, it was your father. I wanted possibilities for you and your sister, right? I wanted you to have a better life than anybody in the world. And then when you make it about other people versus just about yourself, that's engaging. People will follow you, because people will get it from their vantage point.
I love that. I think that was a really key thing that he did, where he involved his audience. I think from a leadership perspective, you're making people think. Once you make people think, that's when you have the ability to potentially change people's minds. If you're just talking about yourself, they're gonna be like, well, boo-hoo for you. Like, I'm just gonna do this anyway. But once he connected that back to a root feeling that those other people had, then they had the empathy.
So what are the top lessons out of this clip? What are the top 3 things you think? What are the things you pulled out?
Lessons is not everybody's going to speak up. Not everybody's going to have the balls to speak up. There will always be a very few amount of people that will do what he did. And that could be you if you really wanted to. But if you're in the stands, at least you spoke. At least you contributed to it. Just because you're not the speaker doesn't mean that you're any less. You are a part of the process. That leader wouldn't know how you feel or what you're thinking. Remember, he made the board for everybody. He's like, tell me what you want to learn. He conducted an entire thing where he's like, I don't know what you want. Tell me what you want. And so he's just the liaison between the upper management and the lower IC contributors. So that is just how he operates. So you don't have to be that person, but it is your obligation as an independent contributor to speak up still.
Yep. So that's one.
The second is involve your audience. Try to tap into the way that they think. And again, to your point, don't make it just all about you.
What's 3?
Don't be intimidated of the bad guy. The bad guy could do whatever the fuck they want. You just focus on you. You could definitely be tear down very easily by other people.
It goes back to what's the worst thing that can happen, right? It's all about it's all about your mind. See, I would add a 4th. I think you're exactly right. The 4th one for me is passion. I think passion is everything. I love passionate people. Doesn't matter what they're saying or how they're saying it. It doesn't matter what they're saying. It's about more importantly about how they're saying it. It is
about how they're saying it.
Right. He was so passionate about what he's doing. And that's what I think swayed the audience.
That's what gives you the emotion. That's what gives you the connection. You feel it from his gut.
Exactly. So guys, this is great. The movie is accepted. It's from Universal Studios back in 2006. Bartleby Gaines, baby. It's a great movie. Go check it out wherever you possibly can. Amanda, you have been wonderful. Thank you for your insights throughout. And guys, thank you for tuning into the Inspirational Motivational Leadership Podcast. I'm Scott DiGiammarino, CEO and founder of MovieComm, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks.
Thank you.